us to talk about is concerning the economic viability of some certain states and the dependence of some states basically on other productive states. Insecurity has been a bane in some states from developing, states like the Northeast, North Central, and Northwest, including the Southeast. And most of these states that are no longer economically viable because of the security concerns in that region have made them dependent on certain states that ought to use their internally generated revenue to sort themselves out. The reason why this conversation is being talked about is the fact that there is an imbalance. Now, basically, because of the federal system of government that we operate, there is a FAC allocation given to other states. This allocation is usually based on the population of the region or the population of the state. And there have been calls as to the fact that how about we do allocations based on what your region is able to generate? If your state is not generating anything reasonable, it is whatever it is you generate that you actually gain from the FAC allocation. And others are now saying, is this how regionalization or regionalism system of government is going to work? If we're having some states not being economically viable, not contributing, in the federal quota in terms of the federal treasury, and they're getting monies from or reliant, all right, financially and economically on other states, and then you actually want equal representation, equal allowances from the federal government purse. So how would development be equal across board? If insecurity is bedeviling some of the regions and the federal allocation that is meant to come, which has to do with improving education, healthcare, public infrastructure, and other viable sectors of that particular region is being diverted to curtailing insecurity, then what happens to other viable sectors that keeps that particular region reproductive and productive? It means that those other sectors will definitely die off because most of the concentration and financial distribution is going basically to one sector, and which is insecurity. All right. So the question now is, what are the state governors going to do about this? When will the federal government come together and have a conversation, specifically ministers that represent the constituencies in the House of Reps and in the National Assembly? When will the conversation be had about it as to these regions that are being plagued by insecurity, which of course has caused famine? When some of these farmers can no longer go to their farms, obviously food becomes quite expensive. Investors cannot come along that area because of course insecurity is what is plaguing the region. So if there is no economic viability in terms of investment opportunities, the young population that are meant to grow the economy there cannot work. They are basically hiding at home or literally migrating to other states where they can have freedom to take care of their families. So you will have more women giving birth to children who will not have an economic viable, productive society just because of the insecurity. And then the sectors that are meant to grow are not growing. So the question is, when will the conversation be had as to how this can be easily or quickly addressed? Who are the actors responsible in government for the insecurity in some certain regions? And it seems targeted. Why does this feel like the federal government does not really want to have this intricate conversation in dealing with insecurity as fast as possible? If the federal government, especially under the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, intends to grow the economy and fight hunger and starvation as he promised in the recent G20 summit with other African leaders in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, how will that actually take place when you have most of your resources being financed to tackle insecurity in certain regions? And then, of course, the aspect of having to ameliorate the hunger and poverty is not being worked on. What exactly are you going to achieve in that regard? Now, speaking of the Southeast, it's quite unfortunate that the Southeast has become an area where one can no longer decide to, on their own, say, I want to go home. This is November. Normally in December, you have quite a lot of Southeasterners who across every state of the Federation decide to visit home. They go spend the money that they have been able to save for the year. Some of them even come from those in diaspora, come back home. But the insecurity in the Southeast now is scary. There are a lot of persons no longer return home. And those that do don't even waste time to stay 2 or 3 days. So you now have the vital sectors in that region being moribund. And the question is, what is being done about it? What is the state governor doing about it? What are the elders in that region? What are the representatives in the House of Reps and the National Assembly doing about it? When will they come together and take a decisive action to curb this as soon as possible? Just yesterday, 5 persons were killed by unknown gunmen in that region. Now, that was not the only thing. I'm sure you saw the videos on social media. It was very gory. They burnt their vehicles. The question that has been asked is, who are the actors, financing these individuals? We know that they've gotten into armed robbery and taking people's properties without consultation or anything. That is how they've been able to get some utilities. Who is providing the armaments? That is, who's providing the guns and whatever that they're using to attack the communities. If you're enforcing a sit at home, can't you do it without bloodshed? That's basically the question. What exactly is your problem? If you say you want your region to develop, you say you are complaining as to the fact that you're clamoring for somebody's release, but in the process, you're stifling, strangulating your economy. You've made that state completely deserted. Banks cannot even come in there. Independent investors who feel that, okay, let's come into this region that seems to be quite industrious, cannot come in there. Education is actually not holding sway, because you cannot literally say that on Monday some of these teachers cannot come to school, and even those that manage to come for the rest of the week literally try to get out during the weekend, possibly on Friday or Saturday. They'll travel out of the state. So how do you intend to have enlightened, productive young persons come out of the Southeast if you continue to stifle the sector there? So the question is, are we saying that with all the presence, the military presence at all the checkpoints, there is no proper intelligence as to who these unknown gunmen are, where they are situated, where they have stayed on, and then continue to exert mayhem? And the worst part of this whole situation is that when the military decides to, comb the forest or comb the area, they will just take innocent persons from their homes, put them in a vehicle, and literally we don't get to hear anything about them. So the clamor has begun. Basically, on most media houses, most forums, conversations are being held. What is being done? Nigerians in diaspora as well are getting bothered and worried. Regardless of wherever you go to, wherever it is you find yourself, at the end of the day, you want to come back home. How do you find your way home when you don't feel safe in your home? What is your clarion call? Right? In as much as you're asking for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, in the process, why make your economy moribund? These are logical questions. Maybe some persons may not like the angle I'm coming from, but I think this conversation needs to be logically looked into. Now, if we also want to look at the responsibility of the state government across other sectors of the Nigerian economy, the 36 states of the Federation, if you want to look at the viability of those states based on their contribution to the fact that is to the federal allocation, their internally generated revenue, there are very few states that are thriving in that regard. Very few states. So when you have other regions depending on those states to stay afloat, obviously other internal projects that the states want to execute, they may not be able to execute it. And then you now have some ministers representing this government who are not communicating properly, who are not literally being transparent and accountability to, and being accountable to the people. And so you now have endemic corruption in every sector because of what is going on. What is the federal government going to do about it? How does President Bola Ahmed Tinubu intend to curb hunger and starvation if all of these issues are on? How long? What are the kind of conversations that the state governors have when they converge at their governors forum? How are they dealing with these issues? What are the measures they've decided to implement? All right. In the areas, specifically in the regions experiencing insecurity, what are the governors in those regions doing about it collectively to ensure that that is curbed and economically make their regions and states viable? So if we intend to go to a regional system of government, is this the way we're going to go with it? Is this how the region will develop themselves? Is this how the region will feed themselves? Is this how the region will try to become industrious? Is this how public infrastructure will happen in those areas? Is this how you would attract international investments in those regions? So again, Welcome to Matters. You can actually subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's at VOP 903 FM, basically VOP 903 FM. And obviously, you can actually begin to send your WhatsApp messages at this moment, because the conversation, like I told you, is quite important for us to have literally as best as possible. And let us begin to get your recommendations. You can never tell who is listening to this conversation, and then the needful will begin to be implemented. You can send your WhatsApp messages to 0817 1756 338, 0817 1756 338. Obviously, that is where you can actually send your messages to. Now, you could recall that last Monday, right, the Federal High Court in Abakaliki, Ebonyi State, nullified the recent Ward Council and State Congresses of the People's Democratic Party. The court restrained the Independent National Electoral Commission from recognizing any of the officers elected from the nullified congresses. The judgment was given in a suit filed by Nnamdi and 12 others against the PDP in 2024. All right, now in that particular situation, just yesterday, we do know that more than 2 persons were killed during a protracted and ongoing clash between Ogwo in Ishiagu community and their neighbors in Akeze, both in Ivo local government area of Ebonyi State. The chairperson of the Ivo Council area, Emmanuel Aja, condemned the killing and vowed to unmask the perpetrators. Meanwhile, there is a squabble between Nnamdi Kanu's legal team and the State Security Service, who appear to have ended last Monday after the secret police allowed the lawyers access to Mr. Kanu. Mr. Kanu, we do know, is facing terrorism charges at the Federal High Court in Abuja, and obviously is the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, who has been in detention since 2021 under controversial circumstances. Well, his legal team has repeatedly accused the SSS of denying them access to Mr. Kanu. Well, the team was allowed eventually access to Mr. Kanu after the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, and a member of the House of Representatives from Abia State, Obi Agwocha, visited Mr. Kanu at the SSS facility over the matter on the 24th of October. Well, Mr. Kanu's special counsel, Aloy Ejimako, during a television program days after the visit, said Messrs. Abbas and Agwocha had resolved the issue of access denial through a political compromise. All right, now with this particular situation, I remember Mr. Agwocha via television interview telling us specifically that the political conversation that is being had for enabling the release of Nnamdi Kanu is already ongoing, as well as the governor of Abia State telling us as well that the political impasse, resolve to ensuring the release of Nnamdi Kanu is already underway. But the big question is, Aloy Ejimako on several occasions have attributed the fact that most times Nnamdi Kanu's case is coming up, we now hear of this kind of violent activities taking place in that particular region. We begin to hear volatility, killings, and all whatnot, which could stall the process. He had actually stated that there are some elements, unidentified elements, who deliberately do not want this process to commence. He believes that there is a conspiracy somewhere, or there are conspirators somewhere who are sitting and ensuring that once they bedevil and make the Southeast quite ungovernable and uncontrollable, that the process to which there could be a political resolution to release him may actually be stalled, because they feel that the polity has gotten so heated up, and maybe if he's released, the escalation in violent activities in the Southeast would continue. But then a couple of critics say, no, we don't believe in that. We also want a situation where if he is released, and then give it a trial and see if obviously the volatility in that region will reduce and if peace may return to the area. Others feel that there is something more behind this whole thing, because apparently these supposed these groups of notorious individuals perpetrating mayhem in the Southeast have now gotten so confident and brazen that you cannot identify which of those groups are responsible, either because they've been allowed to roam freely, the government or the state governor has not been able to quell the mayhem, the state governors have not been able to quell the mayhem. So these young persons who seem not to have anything viable to do decide to join those groups and perpetrate mayhem and chaos. That there is a possibility that there may be more than 1 or 2 or 3 of these groups who are using the whole umbrella of Biafra, the agitation for Biafra, to exhibit an agenda that is detrimental to the persons of the Southeast. So the big question is that true? Do you believe in that? Could that be one of the reasons why we're experiencing most of this activities in the region, especially now that we have heard that there is a political resolution on the horizon to ensure his release. Now, we do know that the presidency has confirmed during Galali's removal as Tinubu's media advisor, obviously being replaced by Daniel Bwala. Now, I watched a recent interview where questions were being asked as to his integrity to speak on behalf of this administration. The president recently did some cabinet reshuffle, and he was able to get some media representatives, persons who will speak and represent the activities of public communication, speak on the activities of the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and let the people know basically what most of the activities are. In Daniel Bala's case, we do know that he resumed as of yesterday or day before yesterday, basically officially he resumed yesterday. But we know that he once used to be the spokesperson of the People's Democratic Party presidential campaign team. That is the Atiku Abubakar and Ifeanyi Ukowa team. And there was a certain time, just last year, I actually want you to briefly listen to what he said. The reason why I'm saying this is the fact that in politics, most of these individuals that we battle over, we fight over most of the time, have their own hidden agenda. And when we bicker and talk about these individuals in the space of I belong to this political party, I belong to this political party, they're all friends. Everybody has personal interest. There is nothing sentimental amongst these political actors. All they are usually more into is their personal gain, which is quite surprising to some people, but not surprising to some people. And if you have been following Daniel Bwala over time, you would have heard him speak categorically on the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, stipulating that he does not have the capacity to take Nigeria to where it belongs to or where it needs to get to. He even said that it would take him 30 years before he actually attains the height of taking Nigeria. And even after 30 years, it's possible he may not attain it. But I want you to take a listen to what he has said, all right, last year, and of course, what he's actually saying now. The reason why I want us to listen to this is he is not the only person who has made this kind of conversation. He's not the only person who has made a statement like this. We've heard quite a lot of them make comments like this, and at the end of the day, we're not surprised to see them in the other camp. So let's take a listen to Daniel Bwala precisely last year, just last year, and obviously we'll listen to him after his appointment.
Election so far has arguably been adjudged as the worst election in the history of the republic since Nigeria became a republic as a country, because from 1960 up until before last Saturday, all of the riggings in the elections in Nigeria were called controlled riggings that were done based on political party or individuals determining to manipulate certain places. So, for example, a leader will say, I want so person to emerge there, you manipulate it. I want so person to emerge there, you manipulate. Since this 2023 was meant to be an election that will be determined by technology, they now use the technology to simultaneously rig the elections in every part of Nigeria at one time. That is why it's the worst election in the history of the republic. The funniest part of it is that even after the elections were rigged, the processes for the release of the result and announcement became more or less like a Broadway show than the actual process that is meant to reflect transparency in the process. And let me just tell you, Dr. Abati, when I watched the process for the collation of the result, where I was sitting, I said, oh, Nigeria, my country. It was stage played. I will tell you today, and I have every right as a board player in this to express myself. Because when you cut our right to express ourselves, then you have killed the democracy. And of course, the democracy is fainting, so it is just one more bullet on the democracy, and you kill it. You know what, that day, the national chairman, which in the Electoral Act is referred to as the chief presiding officer, while he was running the proceedings there, you will have noticed that there was a certain lawyer that sat there who posed like an amicus curiae. And he's my senior brother, is a lawyer to Tinubu, but he posed as an amicus curiae. So anytime objection is raised by anybody in that building, he will rise to speak as though he's assisting the proceedings that day. and he was giving opinions that were largely flawed and could not be substantiated by the code of law. As a matter of fact, he was not supposed to talk. The chairman was not supposed to permit him. The chairman was supposed to ask, where is he coming from? So that if he reflects a partisan perspective, the chairman will not continue until other representatives are there, so all of them can argue the law. So that means the chairman is more or less like a lawyer, because the commission has a legal advisor, and they even have a public affairs manager in Festus Okoya who has been operating like a legal advisor from day one. So that was how they were sidestepping the provisions of the Electoral Act that day. When the attention of the chairman was drawn to Section 65, very germane provision that was added last year. And I give you the premise, because when Section 65 was to be added as an amendment, I knew they objected against it in the National Assembly. In fact, they were saying that Section 65 was not constitutional. They wanted to go to court, but you couldn't institute action against a bill. It has to be a law before you can tell the court it's a bad law. By the time it became law, political parties have gone far in the electioneering process. So they didn't get the chance to challenge it. So they decided the best way to do that is to sidestep it. What is the Section 65? Section 65, the proviso empowers the national chairman within 7 days to review any complaint arising from results, that's authenticity or otherwise of the result. And what that section seeks to cure is this idea where there is an infraction that can easily be corrected, and you leave it to go to tribunal, so that the chairman within 7 days will get the opportunity to deal with those, so that once elections are declared, then you can go there. When the chairman of INEC's attention was drawn, you heard him loud and clear. He said, go to court. Why did he say that? You would have thought it's an ignorant statement. No, it's deliberate. It's deliberate because there is an age-long principle of law. Once elections, the winner is declared and certificate is given, the only body that can reverse that decision is the court of law, is the tribunal. So they knew it. And you would have had APC throughout that period betting people, go to court, go to court. So they already planned the solution and they are working their ways to it. That is the saddest part of the entire process, because that would have cured the anomaly that existed throughout Nigeria, arising from all the inflation and manipulation of the result across the polling unit.
Well, that was Daniel Bala. You just finished listening to him, and this was basically last year, where he talked about the fact that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was rigged into that particular position. And then just recently, he had an interview where he had to talk about his portfolio. I'm sure you know that there was a situation where he said he was a president's spokesman, and Bayo Onanuga had to come out to tell him and refute that statement he made that there is no one particular spokesman for the presidency. So, of course, obviously, the anchor of the program asked him, what about integrity? Do you have integrity? And in terms of your representation and the role you occupy concerning the things you had said in the past against this administration, how do we trust that you're able to serve? And Daniel Bala said that when he visited the president, that the president said he knows that it's all politics and that he cannot always not have persons within his camp who criticizes him. If that is the case, he's not going to have anybody around him. So it obviously saying that the president has a good heart. Now, based on integrity, if Daniel Bwala is speaking on behalf of the president, how would Nigerians trust the process? Even supporters of the president, some of them are not happy based on that particular appointment. So let's take a listen to what Daniel Bwala said in this recent interview. And then, of course, based on what he said, when the phone lines are open, you can tell me what you think concerning the kitchen cabinet ministers, and that is cabinet plus kitchen cabinet members of this administration, and the ability to reflect what the president's agenda is for Nigeria's economy, and the ability for Nigerians to trust anytime they speak.
Like that. The statement I made, which is similar to this, was on the 24th of December. You were not on duty. Your colleague, I think it's Geoffrey, was the one who was interviewing me on the eve of Christmas, I remember. And I didn't say this same thing that you're saying. But by the way, let me tell you this. A lot of people don't know politics, and they don't know how politics is being played. When you are for the opposition, what are you supposed to do? To oppose, isn't it? To oppose. If you have the training and discipline where you get engaged in debate, for example, where you say debate for and against. So what we know and from my discipline of law is you emphasize your strength and de-emphasize the strength of the other person. You allow him to state his case. And all of these references that people were making were activities that played out when I was in the PDP. It is understandable. The reason why I said I will not talk further on that is because when I met the president in January, you were the first person to interview me after I had met him. It was the hottest interview we've ever had. First of all of the years I know you in interview, you hardly interview and make reference and play out something. But that day, it was like Larry King interviewing somebody. And after that, I went to other TV stations and ensured that, because I don't run away from interview. Now, much they take talk, now I go take answer. I've gone to all the places and answered the question. Now, so the president has given us privilege, and there are so much that the president, imagine the visit of the Prime Minister of India, a lot of solid issues to talk about. People are not looking at that. You're looking at Boala. He said this before against the president. Now, let's assume that it is malaria. Is it not the president that should take the medicine? Why are you taking the medicine for him? When I met him, I told you here on your show in January, when I was explaining why I took positions that I took, but I told him I never went personal. I guess you don't even have to worry. I understand this is politics. The only thing the president then was worried was that when I left, I didn't meet with him before leaving. That's the only thing, not what I said. And he told me something. He said, if you look around me now, most of the people that I would meet today were once against me and even, very deep against me. But in life, my mother, this is his word, my mother taught me that if a king is going to be fighting with people, you will now become a lonely king without people. And so I have learned that in life, and I don't hold it against
me. So you are 100% loyal to the president?
100%.
But you were formerly, you said that you were 100% loyal to Atiku.
When I was with Atiku, I was 100. So that, I'm like a pit bull, right? When you are committed to someone, you give 100. So I cannot say when I was working for Atiku, I was 90% for Atiku and 10% for Asiwaju. But then what it means that I can't be trusted by both Atiku and Asiwaju. Well, I'm Tinubu the president.
But your loyalty shifted as soon as your perception of things.
As soon as the president took one. No, even when he won, I was in PDP actually, up to the judgment of the Supreme Court. So that question of who won, who didn't won was settled. The next thing that everybody was confronted with after that time was governance. And if you recall, I want to refresh your memory. On the 1st, I think, of January, the president gave a speech.
All right, now you just listened to Daniel Bala there, so I don't know how you're able to, make a comparison of what he had said just last year and now. Meanwhile, we know that there was a restructure of the president's media team. In fact, 2 designations were actually redesignated, and he appointed officials in the State House Media and Communication team to enhance, the idea, in quote, is to enhance efficiency within the government's communication machinery. So, you know that on Monday, just yesterday, Bayo Nanuga said Sunday Dare is a special advisor on public communication and national orientation, and he is now the special advisor on media and public communication. So his portfolio has changed. His initial portfolio was a special advisor on public communication and national orientation, but now Sunday Dare is now the special advisor on media and public communications, while Daniel Bwala, who obviously was announced last week as a special advisor on media and public communication, will now function in the capacity as a special advisor on policy communication. All right, these appointments, along with the existing role of special advisor information and strategy, underscore that there is no single individual spokesperson for the presidency. But the question is, you have 3 different persons speaking on behalf of the presidency. What is the effectiveness of you having 3 of these individuals to speak? So in other words, are we saying that there will be no repetition of one person speaking and then another person saying something different and a third person saying something different? Is this a measure through which 3 of them would have the same line of communication and saying the same thing? What do these different portfolios signify? What do they represent actually? And in as much as these are the media representatives of the government, that is to actually talk about the administration's effective implementation of the policies they had said they're going to communicate. Beyond communication, can you tell us what you have actively begun to do? When he was asked, he said the administration had already begun on some of the public and social infrastructure enlightenment program, and some of the economic viable implementation structures that they have already begun to show some representation, some effect. And he said that the reason why there is inconsistency in inflation is due to some certain factors that may be beyond the beyond the capacity of the administration. For example, he mentioned the recent flooding that displaced quite a lot of farmlands, and that of course can be one of the reasons why inflation came up again. Well, there are several excuses to that, but based on what had already been discussed about the fact that state governments and their ability to internally generate revenue to make their economy viable rather than having to rely completely on fact allocation, the insecurity in the southeast, the insecurity in the northern region as well, who are the actors responsible for this? What is the representation of these non-state actors? How do we have state governors representing us and you have non-state actors giving order, perpetrating mayhem? It almost feels like the federal representation there does not have the might and the will to crush these individuals. And how long will it take, if at all indeed, especially for the Southeast, it's all about the clamor for Nnamdi Kanu to be released. If the federal government does have the interest of the residents of the Southeast, can they accelerate the process? Let us see if indeed his release will ameliorate the insecurity in that region. Maybe we can begin to identify these groups who claim to be fighting or agitating for Biafra. Maybe they can be identified. And if that does not take place, then it means that these groups, they've gone beyond the whole Biafra agenda and the release of Nnamdi Kanu. These are criminal activists using the incarceration of Nnamdi Kanu as an excuse to perpetrate mayhem within that particular region. So let me hear what you had to say. And like I already announced earlier, the conversation continues now. We actually have a few minutes to take your calls and read out your WhatsApp messages. We're currently streaming live on YouTube as well. The number to call is 0700 903 903 903. The WhatsApp number is 0817 1756 338 0817 1756 338. That's the WhatsApp number to send your messages to, and the number to call is 0700 903 903 903. When you call in, kindly make sure that you tell us your name and your location. Turn off your audio, that's your listening device. If you're listening to the radio, completely turn it off, because it can be quite distorting to the ears. So make sure that is basically what you're able to do. All right, I'm going to read out some WhatsApp messages. They've begun to come in at this point in time, and for some of you who intend to call, you can actually call the number 0700 903 903 903 0700 903 903 903. All right, and let me read out some of the WhatsApp messages here, which of course my amiable audience have begun to send in. This person says, good afternoon, I'm Ikemba texting from Egbeda. The insecurities in the southeast was cooked by Nigerian government, and also the terrorism in Nigeria was also by Nigeria. These are the reasons why they refuse to give Nigerians the names of those sponsoring the insecurities. All right, interesting. Believe me, this man Bwala that was talking with two sides of his mouth will before long use his mouth to bring wahala to this administration. Afiz Lawal, who is sending his message from AIT Road, Alagbado. Okay. Chidera, can you quickly come help me check this phone if it's able to receive calls? Because I think I cannot see if it is viable to receive calls. All right. So we have this person sending us a message saying, good afternoon, beautiful lady. Thank you very much. My name is Esther Wachuku. I am not surprised on the appointment of bootlickers as special advisors, but I'll be surprised if Doyin Okukwe, Omokri, and FFK, that's Femi Fani-Kaide, do not get appointment in this government. They should release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Have a great day. Okosisi from Surulere. Thank you, Okosisi, for that message. Good afternoon. The intent of confusing media aid officers is to continue to inflict chicanery on the people's concerns. Please kindly explain what you mean by that word. President Tinubu's government would not want to be quoted because they know not what and how to speak to the people. Tochukwu Adele Thompson from Obanikoro. All right. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much for that. 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. 0700 903 903 903. And the WhatsApp number is 0817 1756 338. 0817 1756 338. If you are in diaspora, you can actually call the WhatsApp number and we'll definitely respond to you right there. That's the WhatsApp number is 0817 1756 338. You can call there and you can also send your messages there. While for our terrestrial audience, you can call the number 0700 903 903 903. Well, while that is ongoing, I'll take out some messages on YouTube. Emmanuel Oswago says, good evening, good afternoon, my sister. You're very sound as a journalist or media presenter. Please, the foundation of this government from the past till now are born of deceit and cannot stand on the truth. All right, Emmanuel, thank you so much for that compliment. Puruhuko says, good afternoon, Esther. Good afternoon to you as well. This Chi says, all of you criminals, waiting happen now. There's no need for you to insult, okay? You can logically state your perspective and give me facts and reasonable ideals as to either you're corroborating on what the course of the conversation is all about, or you're not corroborating with it, but you are factual with what you're actually reading out there. So there's no need for you to make or give any derogatory comment or you to actually be quite insulting, all right? That will not be tolerated. Thank you very much. Ogafo says, Master Nnamdi Kanu said, release me and he will come everywhere. And Nigerian government said no. Now you don't know who is doing it. Esther, political correct, all right? Thank you, Ogafo. I don't know what you mean by being politically correct, but that's basically the conversation today. And I cannot take any sides. I have to represent all angles of logical reasoning. You need to be logically reasonable when we have these conversations. Otherwise, it means you're being sentimental. Okay, Kenneth Okafor says, let me tell you all, Nigeria is not a country. Nigeria is a British company, and God Almighty said, let my people be free. Then those that control the British company say, no, ha ha ha. Wow. Do you have an evidence for that? Okay, Kenneth Okafor. Nigeria is already independent since 1960. So if you say Nigeria is a British company, can you give me facts in that particular regard? Thank you very much. Mazi Okafor says, Mazi also says, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said, serve Nigeria and come back. Like I said, no derogatory comment. All right. Thank you very, very much. Let's see. My take on, okay. I think some people are trying to call. Please, you can call the number, all right? Somebody says 903 is not working. I don't know. I think it's been connected now. I do apologize. Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hello?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hello?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You sound very low. I cannot hear you. What's your name?
Oh, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
On the line.
All right, sir.
Good
Thank you for calling.
On the line.
All right, sir.
All
right, tink you, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. You are doing a great work. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
If we want to hear the truth, let us say the truth. We are Nigerians. I'm an Igbo man. Mm-hmm. The problem of this nation, of this our country, Nigeria, called Nigeria, is tribal sentiment.
Right.
1, corruption. 2, injustice. This injustice.
Oh, wow. Please kindly call back. That was a lovely line of reasoning. I would have really loved to hear what you had to say. I would have loved to hear your line of thoughts, where it would land. All right, so kindly call back, okay? 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. 0700 903 903 903. And the WhatsApp number is 0817 1756 338. 0817 1756 338. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Martyrs. What's your name?
Esther, good afternoon. How are you?
I am fine. What's your name, please?
Yeah, Joe from Bariga.
All right, Joe, please go ahead.
Hey, Esther, you didn't put on the news that our refinery will soon start working. Is it right?
What?
the River State Port Harcourt refinery will soon start working.
Yes, they have been saying that, but I hope this time around it becomes
not put
functional.
it on the news.
Oh, this is not news. This is matters.
I'll be happy. That is why I called.
Okay.
I'll be very happy.
All right.
I will not castigate them again. I will not protest on the line again.
All right.
So I'll be happy. If this Port Harcourt refinery will start working. Because I have been saying almost every day, I've been talking about Port Harcourt refinery because Dangote ridiculed us by selling very expensive fuel to Nigerians. So I have been complaining so much. I didn't know why Dangote would behave and treat us Nigerians this way. Dangote, bring your fuel down. It's too expensive. Bring your fuel down. We're selling crude to you in Naira. We're not selling in dollar to you. Please. Don't ridicule. You are ridiculing Nigeria so much. Esther, good afternoon. I'm so annoyed this afternoon.
Oh, sorry. Please don't be annoyed. All right, please. Thank you very much for calling. Okay, I think we have a call here. Good afternoon. This person. Hello. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine. Esther, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Name and location, please.
Okay. This is Nnamdi calling from Spain.
All right, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. Esther, let me just now be very distinct, brief.
All right.
Concerning the security, insecurity in the southeast.
Yes.
Esther, just believe me, if you can, Nigeria will try this, you see what will happen.
You saw what? I didn't hear you well.
If Nigeria will try, if Nigeria is serious, if they want to try, if it tries, you see what will happen.
Okay.
Just believe me.
Okay.
Apart from Nnamdi, which I know that he release we make sure that that's it will release that be security in people things will be okay in
southeast.
No, let me just call it this East Central.
Okay.
I'll call it East Central because that is not southeast the way they put it.
Okay.
They call it Israel because you can't just pick all the people and put it in the center of the destiny. I call it East Central of Nigeria.
Okay.
To me.
All
so
right.
the reason for that destiny if you can, Nigeria can just remove all the military. You see things will be okay there.
All right.
People will take care of that. This and no find out. You see, before I will just give you just 1 week or just let me sit down. Just make 1 month. They will tell you people that is doing all these things in that destiny. Because I don't believe this. They just let them it hype up.
Okay.
You see, once they remove the military today, just Esther, once you go count my word, just within one month, they will just fish out to people that is causing that problem in the east, central east of Nigeria.
All right.
So under this, please let me stand up. Under this Buhara, but the only thing is this, people always here you can apply some. Which I know here is this thing. People, it's only government that defend, president that defend himself. Anytime asking question, all this thing, we will get the money to pay all these people. But in Nigeria, they don't know how they get the money to pay all these people. But the only thing I will advise them, even if you have a 20 assistant, a personal assistant, let them defend the man. Let them, if the man cannot come out to ask, this respond to press. Let them come out and not when people are talk like somebody like Abatanjo, which I know that Abatanjo to compare with Abatanjo with Buhari, just like insult with this Tinubu. Okay. Let them come out. If Tinubu cannot come out, let them not when somebody just come out gossip, only to gossip, and they look for somebody that will talk so that for them to go against the person.
Right,
let them come out at least when. Okay, just take care.
Thank you
That's
very
the only
much.
thing.
Thank you. All right, 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. 0700 903 903. Hello. Good afternoon. Welcome to Matters. Name and location, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Fine, thank you. This is Prince Majek Femi Olumadekodumi.
All right, Prince Majek.
Initially, I didn't want to call him because I'm not feeling fine.
Sorry,
I'm
sir.
battling with kidney problem, but because of a man that called regarding Dangote refinery.
Yes.
I've been saying it and I used to listen very carefully.
All right.
Dangote is a capitalist.
Okay.
Then Dangote is not the one that put Nigeria in problem. We have about 5 refineries. It cannot work. And you are saying that you don't like Dangote. Dangote, every producer, before I dropped out from School of Management, I was a student of market management. Before I changed my career to health education. So, whatever you buy, producer wants to make profit, and every consumer wants to keep up. So the problem is not Dangote. You are selling to him in Naira. He's going to sell to you in Naira. It now depends on how much you people sell it. The problem of fuel in Nigeria is the federal government, the NNPC, and the NNPC. It's our government and NNPC.
Yes.
They are the problem of the problem. They are the problem of the problem we're having in Nigeria concerning fuel. So I blame the federal government and I blame NNPC. They're supposed to do arrangement in NNPC. There are some people they're supposed to start there, but they are proving they are cabals. It's not fair. So don't blame Dangote.
All right. Thank
We
you.
have a lot of refineries that we're supposed to put to work. This Dangote has come to airport. You are still giving him problems.
All right. Thank you
And
so much.
most of you will be saying is the federal government says, well, you just give him anything they free, he borrows money.
Thank you,
Is
Prince.
it free?
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
sir.
ma'am.
Thank you. All right. Let me read some messages. Good afternoon, Esther. Bolaji from Iyanupaja. Why Tinubu-led government is very active in propaganda and less in governance. That's why they are appointing spokesmen here and there. Okay, oh, be careful. Like I said, no derogatory comments. Esther, my dear, if dishonesty and disintegrity has a face, definitely that has to be with Daniel Bwala. Chianu Uchechuku from Iyanujigbo. All right. Good afternoon. Nnamdi Kanu said, release me and I will calm the situation in Southeast. If this government actually means well for that region, why not consider that talk and release him? Aneke Chinonso. All right. Thank you very much. Hello, able presenter. The call for the release of Nnamdi Kanu sets me thinking, is he coming out to continue the Biafra agitation? Or will he drop it totally? In all sincerity, I doubt he will win an election in any state in the Southeast. To test the popularity of his agenda or his person, he should join a party or form one. Henry from Egbeda. Thank you so much. Esther, federal government is responsible for the insecurity in the Southeast. If they have done what the court asked them to do by releasing Nnamdi Kanu, remove all the soldiers in the Southeast, believe me, this nonsense in the region will stop. And we all know who is who. Vincent from Mushin. Thank you, Vincent, for actually calling. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Martyrs. Name and location, please.
Yeah, it's that much. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Name and location.
Yeah, this is Mazi Douglas calling from Lome, Togo.
Oh, Master Douglas, welcome. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Esther Nwachukwu, you are doing a very great job.
Thank you.
There's a comment you make that I love so much. You say nobody know who is listening today. Yes, I want to talk about I'm an Igbo man.
Okay.
And at school, my schoolmate right now is an top military officer. At school, I'm with Ogoja.
Okay.
Yes, Okuku Road.
Okay.
And when the court released Nnamdi Kanu, they did not release him. I called me as a friend because we do like twice we were in school.
Okay.
I called him, what's going on? He said, what he expect our governors and our state actors is to come and meet the president. If they meet the president, I plead with him to release Nnamdi Kanu because of what is happening in our area. If he refuses, they will only use one word. The president say, if you don't lead this man, we will join the people that are agitating. He said, believe me, within 72 hours, they will release him. He said, what is happening is from the state actors. I am telling nothing but the truth. He said, oh, thank you for a good job.
Thank you. Thank you, right? Yeah. Thank you for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, Esther Nwachukwu.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
As people have said, you are doing a very good job.
Thank you.
I believe the Lord is your strength. Keep it up.
Thank you.
So my name is Peter Usifo. I'm calling from Abanja in Ikoton.
All right.
I want to speak on Daniel Bwala. I heard your interview with him.
Yes.
How he said that he worked for Atiku. Ab initio, he was with Bola Ahmed Tinubu before the election. And immediately Bola Ahmed took a Muslim like Shekina as his vice and vice presidential at that time.
Okay.
That he now picked over to Atiku to antagonize Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now he's working for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What I'm trying to say is that he has said that he will give Bola Ahmed Tinubu 100%, and I support him for that. In as much as Bola Ahmed Tinubu has seen the reason to employ him as an SA, I mean, he should all give it to him. It's not only serving himself, that is, I'm talking of Daniel Bwala, it's not only serving himself or Bola Tinubu, but serving Nigeria in general.
All right.
So wherever you find yourself as a marketer, a public relations man or woman, you should do your best there.
Okay.
So I support him 100%. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much. Peter is always positive. Always positive. 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. 0700 903 903 903. And the WhatsApp number is 0817 1756 338. 0817 1756 338. Hello, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Name and location, please.
I just want to talk about it, Daniel Bwala.
Oh, sir.
Let me tell you, in
Prince.
politics,
Okay.
there is something that we used to say in Nigeria. There is no permanent or there's no permanent friend or enemy in politics.
Exactly.
So your enemy can rise up tomorrow and help you. So
exactly.
choosing that, I love the statement that I have to be 100%. So it is Tinubu that I commend for appointing him.
Okay.
So there is nothing wrong.
All right.
I may be your enemy today and I may be your friend tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you very much. In addition to what he said, I think Kwankwaso's daughter got married, I think 2 or 3 days ago. And you'd be so shocked. Kwankwaso is of the New Nigeria People's Party, right? Well, you have the Vice President, Kashim Shettima of the APC attend. You have quite Ali Ndume. You had quite a lot of, opposition political party members attend the daughter's wedding. These are supposed political opponents. So if you're carrying stone and breaking your head for these individuals, sorry, they are good together. It's just politics and the media. They know the game they're playing. All right, let me read out some WhatsApp messages. This person says, okay, good afternoon, my sister. Okay, I already read that. Jeff says, who did Esther bring again, like she had brought another, my mama said Abi Igbo or another Lagos Igbo person? Or Jeff, are you just tuning in? Because I think what you just wrote here is completely out of context and it's obvious you're not following the conversation. So before you are quick to type your comment, follow the conversation so you don't sound ignorant. All right, Emeka Ukuma says, Esther, if they give you opportunity to be president of Nigeria for 1 week, what will you do to save Nigeria? Oh my God, 1 week. First of all, if it is the release of Nnamdi Kanu that will ensure that the security in the southeast is actually propagated, I will do that. Nothing else. When it comes to the Nigerian economy, for the situation with fuel, please, I think I'm going to bring back fuel subsidy. And I'm going to try as much as possible to remove all the bottlenecks involved. I don't care what kind of political influence or power that you have, or if you're part of the oligarchs that decide how the terrain of this country goes. I'm going to bring it back. And I'm going to ensure that subsidy is actually for the people that need it. Okay? Obviously, I'm going to set up a team that would ensure that all of the policies are basically implemented. I'm going to set up a team that would transparently tell me how much money is being utilized. There will be like almost a press conference daily. And if you are a minister working within my cabinet and you're not able to give me a breakdown of what you're able to do or accomplish in possibly 5 months since your appointment, you're leaving. So obviously, that's basically what I'm going to do. I'm being realistic here. The need of the people needs to be met. Once you're able to provide the basic amenities, just the basic amenities, you're making sure that food is quite cheap, there's electricity, there's water supply, and there's good road infrastructure. Trust me, Nigerians are so industrious. You would enjoy this country. Like, you would love it. Basically. All right. Okay. Hello. Good afternoon. Welcome to Martyrs.
Esther,
Sir?
I'm telling you, I mean it again. We will enjoy this nation in a very short time. I'm praying also that we will enjoy this nation because we are suffering every day. We are suffering, Esther. It's getting too much.
What's your name?
They told us that
What's your name?
The landing cost.
What's your name? You just got to start lamenting.
The landing cost. They remove flotation of naira.
Yes.
Then we have the price of fuel will come down. That is what they tricked us. That was what they continued to tell us last year. And then now, the government has finished everything. Then we are still, where is the landing cost, the removal of the landing cost? Why do you float? Why do you still float your naira? Or the fuel thing? Why this confusion in the land? Why are they tricking us? In any nation that tricks himself will continue to be in this form forever and ever. Esther, It's getting too much. That is why I'm talking with a harsh voice.
Sorry.
It's getting too much. Nigerians are suffering so much.
Sorry, sir. Please.
Good afternoon, Joe
Good
from
afternoon.
Bariga.
All right, Joe from Bariga. I sincerely do apologize. I could feel the pain, Joe, but I would implore you. I'm a Christian, and at this point in time, the only thing I can say is God will help us. There is nothing more I can say. I don't know what else is within my capacity to do. And to the rest of you listening to this conversation and to this program, please, if you can help, please, if there is anybody you know, if you have it within you to assist, to help, please do help. Trust me, there is no reach now. Even the average that used to feel kind of, they're no longer average. Everybody now is in need. So if you can help, if you can assist, I would implore you to kindly assist. All right. Thank you very much. We need to wrap up the program. Funhouse time is coming up in the next 3 minutes. I'm sure Walkie Talkie and MC Chooks are already on standby. Okay, so let me read out just these 2 messages and then we'll go. Good afternoon, Esther. Dan Obala's appointment. President Tinubu deliberately brought him into the villa. Wow, to humiliate him. Are you sure? Based on his utterances during last year's campaign, nothing more. And it has just started. He thought he was going to replace Ajurin Galali, but now he had been sent to the last number of President Tinubu's media aids list and is going to hunt President Tinubu because he's playing with a Mr. Ogumbi Dimu. Mr. Ogumbi, you're angry. Good afternoon, Esther. How can Mr. President have 3 media advisors? How can Mr. President create 2 more ministries in 1 year? Plus, as President of Nigeria, it's obvious that this administration did not prepare for leadership. God bless us. Friday from Bariga. Thank you, Friday. I think that's the last of the messages. To all of you who are still trying to call, I sincerely do apologize. We need to wrap up the program now. Another program is coming up. My name is Esther Mwachiko. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's at Estiq Media on YouTube. That's ESTIQMEDIA. ESTIQMEDIA. That's the YouTube channel, and across social media handles on Insta is Esther Was, on Facebook is Esther Mwachiko, and on X is Esther Mwachiko. So do have yourselves an amazing day. Bye for now.